crypto market is looking incredibly bullish at the moment. We saw Bitcoin print a fresh all-time high yesterday, and we saw Trump Media's Truth Social file the S1 for their crypto blue chip ETF. Now, based on this news, we did actually see ALTCOIN make a nice move to the upside, and that is because from this blue chip ETF, it is going to be comprised of Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, XRP, as well as CRO. So this effectively means that CRO is the only altcoin outside of the top 10 that was selected for this altcoin basket. And we're going to break everything down in today's video, discuss why I believe CRO was included in this basket ETF and what it could mean next for this altcoin. But before we do that, just a friendly reminder that I am not a financial advisor. I am simply here for your crypto news and entertainment purposes. And if you do find the content informative and entertaining, please consider hitting that sub and like button. I appreciate you all. This community is absolutely amazing. So without further ado, let's hop right into today's content. I do want to start off with a general market overview as we typically do. I think it's important because Bitcoin is pretty much just a couple of candles away from being in price discovery mode. And as I have been saying on the channel for a while now, I do think the second half of this year is going to be an incredibly bullish one for the market. So, if we zoom out and take a look here on some longer time frames, this 50-week moving average pretty much has been the biggest cheat code for Bitcoin, in my opinion. You can see that every single time Bitcoin has crossed above the 50-week or even come back down close to it, and basically back tested it as support. So we saw the initial breakout above the 50-week in March of 2023. We saw it come close to backtesting it here in September of 2023. And then from there, Bitcoin rallied from 25K up to about 74,000 in March of 2024. Then we saw 6 months of some consolidation and some movement to the downside, about a 31% drawdown, a bounce off the 50-week moving average once again at about 50,000. And then from there, Bitcoin went on to print a fresh all-time high at about 109,000 over here. And this was in early January. We saw the tariff fear, and then we saw the market sell off because of that. Another 30% decline down to the 50-week moving average, and just a nice V-shaped recovery from Bitcoin from there. So yeah, the 50-week, we talk about it often on the channel, and I do think it has been the single best indicator this entire bull market for people looking to buy and hold Bitcoin for the long run. And that is why, if you go back and watch our videos from April over here, that we were incredibly bullish buying this fear on Bitcoin, because I was just seeing simply another retest of this very strong level of support on a technical basis. Okay, so what I want to do now is take a look at some shorter time frames. That's kind of how we got here, but what I would like to discuss now is, where are we headed next when it comes to Bitcoin? Well, if I go ahead and zoom up here for you guys, you're going to see that, Bitcoin did actually print a fresh all-time high yesterday. Just barely. Like, the prior all-time high was right below 112,000, and Bitcoin actually hit a price on some exchanges right above 112K. And you can see here that we are just consolidating right below this prior all-time high. Now, what I like about Bitcoin at the moment is if we actually go back here to the price action earlier on. So, after Bitcoin started going on this run and breaking out to new highs in November of last year, it was facing some resistance at the $106,000 zone. You can see that Bitcoin, it made an all-time high at 108K over here in December, but actually wasn't able to close a daily candle above 106. And then yet again here in January, made another all-time high at 109,000, but unable to close a daily candle above 106. Now, what have we seen here? We actually saw Bitcoin go up to 112,000, break below 106, get back above it, and it actually back tested it as support right over here and is now continuing higher. So I think that this flip of a strong area of resistance now turning into support, Bitcoin consolidating right below all-time highs, is a very good look for Bitcoin and for the rest of the crypto market, in my opinion. I do want to take a look at the overall altcoin market as well, because we are going to be talking about altcoins in today's video, especially in regards to that new blue chip ETF, which is being launched by Trump Media's Truth Social. And so the altcoin market here also looking really strong in my opinion, okay? We've had this trend line here on the altcoin chart for quite a while. So this is effectively, I mean, I say quite a while. I don't know when I drew this on, but we have had this here since it was kind of respecting this downtrend. We do have it in our previous videos. And one thing I really like about the altcoin market is that it actually bounced off of the local top from March of last year as support and is now continuing higher, and it looks like it wants to finally break out of this downtrend. So Bitcoin printing fresh all-time highs, the altcoin market breaking out of its downtrend, and if we actually measure how far it would have to rally to go back up to its all-time highs, it would still have to rally on average about 32% from where it is at the moment. So altcoins looking really good as well in my opinion, and I do think this means we just end up going much higher in the second half of this year. So I do want to get into the news now, okay? We have to talk about this Truth Social ETF. Based on the news, I mean, we didn't really see massive price reactions across the board. CRO did see the biggest rally based on this news. So we're going to break down the filing and then talk about why I believe that is the case. So Trump Media's Truth Social has filed an S1 registration with the United States SEC to launch an ETF tracking multiple blue chip crypto assets. According to a Tuesday filing, the Truth Social crypto blue chip ETF will track the performance of a basket of top crypto assets, including Bitcoin, Ether, Solana, CRO, and XRP. So the preliminary prospectus said the ETF will allocate 70% to Bitcoin, 15% to ETH, 8% to Sol, 5% to CRO, and 2% to XRP. So right off the bat, I mean, pretty interesting stuff. I mean, if we take a look at the CoinMarketCap rankings, you know, Bitcoin and Ether, the first and second largest cryptos by market cap. XRP, the fourth largest by market cap. Sol, the sixth largest by market cap. And then CRO is not even close to these, okay? CRO is in 33rd place here by market cap. So CRO is the only altcoin outside of the top 10 that was selected for this basket. And interestingly enough, Sol has 8% allocated in this ETF basket. CRO has 5% and XRP has 2%. So CRO has, you know, basically over double the weighting that XRP has in this basket ETF. So I think that's why CRO saw the biggest pump based on this news. I mean, you know, you can basically see, right? Like, we take a look at the market cap of some of these altcoins. So in the case of Sol and XRP, like Sol is worth 84.3 bill, XRP is worth 144.1 bill, and then CRO comes in at about 2.9 bill in market cap. So I think the reason that CRO did see such a big move based on this news, I mean, first of all, just from a market cap perspective, right? Like, it takes less money to move CRO. 1 billion in XRP would not even move the price by 1%. 1 billion flowing into Sol would move the price by just over 1%, whereas 1 billion flowing into CRO here, would basically result in about a 50% increase in market cap, okay? So I think that's why CRO did see the biggest reaction based on this news in terms of the price. Now, the second thing I want to talk about is, you know, why was CRO put in this ETF? So if we actually go over here to crypto.com, Trump Media. Yeah, so crypto.com basically is the custody partner for Trump Media, okay? They announced over here, this was back in March, they announced that they were going to be working on a first-of-its-kind ETF basket of cryptos, incorporating CRO and other crypto assets. Crypto.com will support the back-end technology supported by its recognized industry-leading security certifications and will provide all custody for the ETFs through its U.S. trust company and supply all the cryptocurrency for these ETFs. So we can see here was pretty much already predetermined that CRO was going to be included in this altcoin basket ETF. Once again, over here on June 16th, Truth Social filed a different S1 registration for the dual dual spot Bitcoin and Ether ETF backed by assets held on crypto.com. So effectively, while we don't know for sure, we can make the assumption, I'm making the assumption anyways, that crypto.com did strike some type of deal with Trump Media where they would be the custody provider on the condition that they did include CRO in this ETF, and maybe they even agreed on like a minimum 5% weighting in the ETF, okay? So pretty interesting stuff. And then just in terms of the future implications, right? Think about it like this. CRO is worth 5% of that ETF. This means that for every $1 billion that flows into this ETF, about 50 million of that will be going to CRO directly with that 5% weighting. 750 mil to Bitcoin with 75% weighting, etc. So this does have implications on CRO coin itself, depending on just how big this ETF actually gets, depending on if it is able to get cleared before a lot of these other altcoins ETF, and it is potentially one of the only ways for people in the US to get exposure to altcoins in their regular brokerage accounts. This could potentially see some massive inflows, in which end CRO definitely would be a beneficiary of this. So we're going to have to see how exactly this pans out. There's a bunch of stuff going on with CRO that I do want to cover in a future video, just in terms of Canary Capital and Figment, two major crypto institutions, both becoming validators on the network. There's some stuff to break down, which we will get into in a future video, but this is the big piece of news that I did want to cover today, because I believe this is a big part of the reason that we did see such a big reaction from the price of CRO. And, now while the market is rallying, CRO has pulled back because it really did, basically front run or just kind of move before the rest of the market had moved based on that news. Now, to wrap things up, I do want to take a look at the price action, okay? I mean, we can look at it on some longer time frames. I don't really think we need to, though. We do tend to look at longer time frames when it comes to CRO. What I want to do right now is take a look at this altcoin on a shorter time frame, okay? And the reason being is, even with this rally that we just saw from CRO, once again, it just has been unable to get above this 10-cent level of resistance. So, I lied. I'm actually going to bring this on a higher time frame here once again, just to show you guys why 10 cents is so important. So 10 cents here actually acted as a strong area of support for CRO back in the prior bull cycle. You can see it bounce off of 10 cents before rallying up to that all-time high at 96 cents over here, and then likewise acted as a level of support in the bear market that followed until we saw the collapse of FTX. A lot of FUD towards crypto exchanges, and therefore a lot of the crypto exchange tokens reacted pretty negatively, CRO included. And then we kind of saw this final capitulation where CRO eventually bottomed out at about 5 cents. Now, since CRO had bottomed out at 5 cents, we see the initial run up. And what do we see? We see that prior level of support at 10 cents now flipped into resistance. And you can see here multiple times 10 cents has acted as resistance. Okay, most recently right over here, 10 cents acted as resistance in late March, once again here in May. And now you can see here right on this candle, if I actually go and take us to a daily, that just once again facing some resistance, getting rejected right there yet again at 10 cents. So I'm really looking for CRO to make its way above 10 cents. I think once it is able to get above 10 cents, close a weekly candle above 10 cents, that is when I think the price action gets interesting for this altcoin. You can see the last two times that CRO was able to close a weekly candle above 10 cents, we did see some really nice price action. First, we saw about an 80% rally up to 18 cents, and then a 130% rally up to 23 cents. So really looking for CRO to take out that 10-cent level, and that is when I think this altcoin could potentially make a nice move to the upside. So on that note, I hope you all enjoyed the content in today's video. I hope you are all staying happy, safe, and healthy, and I hope to catch you in the next one. Peace out for now.